Senator Sabina Perez. Good morning, Senator.
Morning, Chris. Welcome back. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us. So I guess just your reaction right off the bat. Had you seen this coming at all?
Not at all. His contract was just renewed, if I am correct, that for another 5 years. So, yeah, this comes as a huge shock to me. Yeah, there's no doubt that he was able to accomplish a lot during his tenure. I remember being a teacher prior to him becoming a superintendent, and there was definitely as a starting teacher, I had to purchase all my supplies, and then I would put that on and improve throughout the years. Under there was also the rollout of the standard-based grading was is one of the initiatives that were accomplished during his term. But definitely has been a lot that was done under his tenure, and I think a lot of it too was important to have a stable superintendent for that. And working throughout the pandemic, I think was very tough for all of us, and so yeah, definitely I thank him for all his efforts as superintendent. And,
Man, Senator, could you try maybe lowering your volume down a little? Because yeah, I'm sorry. It's
is that better?
Oh yes, thank you. Okay, so basically, just answer my question over again. Your reaction.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, basically, it comes as a shock knowing that his contract was just renewed. I think for another 5 years. This must have been a recent decision by the superintendent. Um, I think he went through a lot for sure during those 10 years, especially the pandemic was very trying. Trying to organize a huge organization. So GDOE is, I guess, the largest agency, right, when it comes to the funding levels. And having to manage all the resources is a huge task. And to do it for that long really shows commitment and dedication to the agency. So definitely want to thank Superintendent for all the hard work that he's done. And, he was able to accomplish many things during his tenure. And we do look forward to, I guess, his other actions. I know he mentioned that he wanted to bring higher pay to the teachers as well as the rebuild of Simon Sanchez, and I do look forward to those efforts as well. So yeah, I definitely want to thank him and also wish him well for in his future endeavors too.
Right. I know I follow him on all the social media, and I think a lot of what he's been posting recently has been about getting his daughter into college, right? As she recently graduated, so we'll see what plays out. But yeah, he's got a couple months. I mean, surely it's a pivotal time as we talk about learning loss and the effects of the pandemic. But I got to say, when I think about John today, this morning with this news, what I really think about is going back to the first wave of lockdowns and how this is before the federal aid had come through. And what we did have was we had GDOE mobilizing with its employees and staff through the leadership of the superintendent at different satellite locations to hand out these meals, these student meals, which came at a time that everyone really needed it. The need was so great, and John and the department stepped up to fill that need at that time. And I remember just being in that moment, the feels. It was just tremendous, and kind of like when I think about John and the hard work that he's done over the last decade. I don't know why that kind of sticks in my head as really a shining example of excellence during this pandemic. Senator, I wanted to bring you on to just kind of run through your different oversights and maybe get some updates here. So, did you want to start with Rev and Tax? I know there's been a lot of good news coming out of Rev and Tax lately with tax refunds and stuff.
Yeah, so yeah, they've been regularly putting out tax refunds. I think their goal is monthly. So by the time that you submit an error-free tax filing, their goal is to get it out within the month. So that is their goal. I haven't been keeping track, but I trust that they're doing that. The other thing that they did, when the driver's license was expired, at the date of the expiration of the driver's license, they actually were able to accommodate all people in line. So they actually scheduled uh, appointments during the weekend to make sure that everybody was accommodated. And so that big thanks to Department of Revenue and Taxation for doing that for our public.
Is there any
Uh,
update on the cigarette tax stamp thing and the procurement for that?
yes, so the plan now, instead of issuing a second IFB, the plan is to do an RFP, to actually proceed with the RFP. And so I think they're waiting on the AG's office at this point in time. So they're going to go ahead with the RFP.
Okay. Procurement. I know you're the oversight of procurement. Lord knows there's always something going on with the procurement.
So yeah, so the small purchase bill, as you know, was vetoed, and so in talking to Out of Loop, there was concern about the language not being strong enough. Should the agencies not get 3 positive quotations? So the bill would require 3 positive quotations, and then to the maximum extent practicable. So it was unclear to GSA that language would actually allow the use of small purchase procurement should they not get 3 positive quotes. And so what I had done is actually reintroduce the bill to address that. So yeah, we'll be having a hearing shortly this month to address those concerns.
Do you anticipate that the governor would be likely to pass this measure that's reintroduced that addresses kind of some of the problems?
I do. I work closely with the policy office to get the proper language that was acceptable to GSA. I think initially when I introduced the bill, it had the language in there that said should they not get 3 quotes, then they could still go ahead. And as we adjusted the bill, the language changed, so they were concerned that it would stop the use of small purchases. But the use of maximum extent practicable was used previously in an emergency procurement bill with the same idea in mind that should we not get 3 quotes, then that language was put in there for that reason. So I didn't foresee it being a problem, but just to address the concerns, I wanted to make sure that they could still use small purchases. And the plan was never to stop them using small purchases. It was to increase more transparency in the use of it, because as of now, there's very little transparency in the use of small purchases.
Right. It's basically a line item, right? Because I remember when we got that first report from General Services Agency and the CPO, Claudia Faggi, when they had submitted that to the legislature, it was like, and I remember it was a big to-do at the time. It was about 7 pages of one line item on a lot of these different, whether it was small purchases, sole source, or emergency procurements, right?
Yeah, and in fact, the reporting that they do is only for small purchases that exceed 15,000, right? It doesn't talk about the ones below that. 15,000 for supplies and services, and if it's over 50,000 for construction, there's nothing requiring them to report anything below that threshold. So this would actually, this bill would require reporting of all small purchases. Because as in the OPA's report, one of their findings was that the use of serial small purchases actually exceed the threshold of a small purchase. And so, the idea is that we would want to encourage the use of more competitive bidding, more transparent bidding, if the value of the contract is greater than the threshold. So it ends up to be millions of dollars, really, and that doesn't fall in line with the intent of small purchases.
Senator, you mentioned the public auditor. Did you catch that presentation that we played that he gave over to the port, and just what was your reaction to that?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I thank the public auditor for making all these efforts to provide timely audit reports in time for the budget. I think this is critical because it allows for checks and balances in the budget process. We do have to hold the agencies accountable in how they spend the money, and I think it's we're not doing we're not carrying our responsibility if we're rewarding poor poor use or poor management of funding, or even at that, even if it's not poor management of funding, to seek demand more, because we serve the public, and I think it's really critical that we implement really measures, fiscal measures, to ensure that we're spending the money properly. So procurement is one aspect, right? Procurement and how we do procurement has to be fair and open and transparent. The other thing is the budget process. How we appropriate money. We want to make sure that it's appropriated and it's used, as frugally as possible. These are taxpayers' dollars, in which we're not assured that, the even Director Burns said it's a guessing game how much money or revenue we're going to get, and so being that things may be uncertain, especially with this economy, people call it the artificial economy, right? So we really need to show some restraint, fiscal restraints, and the idea is that if you can prove to us that you can manage the funds well, then I think it's good that we can provide. I feel more comfortable with the budget process, if we can assure that this money is being spent properly, and because we have a limited amount of funding, and we want to make sure that that money is spent to the best possible way, to serve more and more of our people.
Right.
So I think it's critical that these audits come out in a timely manner.
Yeah, pretty basic, Senator. Environment.
Yeah, so the FOIA that I sent out to EPA, Guam EPA, regarding the open burn, open detonation. So that basically what's going to happen with the largest of the firing ranges. So they're it looks like they would like to use the open burning for the disposal of many of those ordinances. That's the preferred disposal method or treatment method, and I think open burning is really harmful, and it's an outdated practice. It should be, definitely should not be used, especially here or anywhere. And recently, President Biden, he just added 9 more cancers that are presumptive. Basically, if you were exposed to open burn, open detonation in Afghanistan and in that arena, and you experience these cancers, you will automatically get health care. And so this is definitely egregious that here we have on one end your recognition of cancers and other illnesses associated with open burning and open detonation. And, I think that, and we already have safer alternatives in place that exist, that are already functioning in other communities. I think it's really important to ban the practice of open burning and open detonation if there are safer alternatives out there.
How has the dialogue been between your office and, I'm assuming, is it Anderson or some federal agency that you're communicating with relative to this open pit burn on Guam?
Yeah. So basically, I haven't been interacting with Anderson. It's mostly through Guam EPA.
I see.
That I'm getting the information. My understanding is that the administrator, in the FOIA, one of the FOIA documents that I saw was that he is standing strong against open burning, but they oppose the open burning part of it. So I definitely need to follow up on that.
Right. Labor, Senator, we'll close with Department of Labor.
I just saw the Guadalupe's press release that they've got awarded more dislocated grants.
Right.
And I think that's the other aspect of this pandemic recovery that we really need to push more, is the return of jobs, right? Return of people to jobs and employment. That's something that I've been definitely pushing for, especially training not just those that are dislocated, but also it's really important to develop pipelines in our school system by increasing the amount of pre-apprenticeship opportunities. I recently attended um, the report back from the G3, the youth, what they asked for. And one of the participants stated there's a disparity amongst graduates from, let's say, GDOE to the South the high school on base. And she sees that there is a disparity in what high schoolers can achieve as far as the associate degrees. And I think to respond to that, to address that, I think it's important to expand the curriculum. And this is something the youth actually asked for. They asked to expand the curriculum to make it more relevant. And I think whatever GDOL can do to work with the providers, the eligible providers, in expanding these type of curriculum so that students who graduate from school, high school, can ready be in a job, a paid job, as they gain their expertise or skills as apprentices. So this is something that's really, really critical, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great idea, Senator. Thank you for your time. Anything in closing before we let you go?
No, thanks. Thank you, Chris. Definitely going to try to work on addressing cost of living issues here in Guam. Yeah, it's hard to see a utility bill these days, and I think it's hard even to see the inflation of prices. And a lot of this we can affect, but a lot of it's out of unfortunately it's what's happening outside of Guam. So as far as the shipping, the cost already, the supply chain, all of these things. I think recently in Congress there was a hearing about how corporations are using this as an opportunity to pad their profits. So that we don't necessarily control here on Guam, but we definitely need to seek ways to mitigate it.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, Senator. It hits harder when we're struggling with all these pocketbook issues, and then you read the national headlines where, big oil's posting record profits, or, the shipping industry is posting record profits. Yeah, it's not a good look, Senator. But thank you for your time. I got to get Mayor Allegan about liberation.
Okay, great. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Senator Sabina.
Day,
you too. There you go, Senator Sabina Perez with the roundup on all of her 5 million different committees, right? Department of Labor, Environment, Procurement, Rev and Tax.